Emily, let me ask you something. Have you ever picked up the phone and the person on the other end was already angry before you even said hello?
Oh, many times. And I still remember the feeling. Your heart starts beating faster, your mind goes blank, and suddenly you can't find a single word in English.
Exactly. And that's the strange thing. Most of the time, we know what to do. We just don't have the right words to do it, especially in a second language.
And when you say the wrong thing to an angry client, even a small thing, the situation can get much worse very quickly.
So today, that's our topic, handling difficult clients in English. By the end of this episode, you will know exactly what to say when a client is upset, angry, or asking for too much.
We'll give you the key vocabulary, we'll show you two real client conversations, one formal and one more relaxed, and we'll break down every important phrase. Simple, practical language you can use tomorrow at work.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Emily. Welcome to the Business English Podcast.
Let's get into it.
Alex, before we get to the phrases, I want to start with a simple question. Why do clients become difficult in the first place?
Good question. Because here's the truth. Most difficult clients are not bad people. They are normal people having a bad day. Something went wrong. A delivery is late, a system stopped working, a promise was broken.
Or they feel ignored. That's a big one. A client sends 3 emails, gets no answer, and by the 4th email, they are furious. Not because of the original problem, but because nobody responded.
And here's why this topic matters so much for your career. Anyone can work with easy clients, but the person who can handle the difficult ones calmly and professionally becomes very valuable very quickly. Managers notice it. Clients remember it.
And there's a business side, too. Research on customer service shows the same thing again and again. Clients whose problems were handled well often become more loyal than clients who never had a problem at all.
Which sounds strange, but think about it. A problem is a test. If your company passes the test, the client now knows something important. When things go wrong, these people take care of me.
So a difficult conversation is not just a danger. Done well, it's an opportunity to build trust.
Right. And this brings us to our first key term of the episode, empathy. Emily, how would you explain empathy in simple words?
Empathy is the ability to understand and share another person's feelings. It doesn't mean you agree with everything they say. It means you show them, I see your situation and I understand why you feel this way.
There's a very common English idiom for this, and it's our first idiom of the day. To put yourself in someone's shoes.
I love this one. To put yourself in someone's shoes means to imagine that you are that person, in their situation, with their problems. For example, before you answer an angry email, put yourself in the client's shoes.
So when a client is shouting about a late delivery, put yourself in their shoes for a second. Maybe their boss is shouting at them. Maybe they promise something to their own customers. Their anger usually makes sense from where they are standing.
And that small mental step changes everything. Because when you have empathy, your voice changes, your words change, and the client feels it immediately.
There's one more term we need right at the start. Composure. Composure is the ability to stay calm under pressure. When a client raises their voice and you keep speaking slowly and politely, that is composure.
And clients notice it. Composure makes you look professional and trustworthy, exactly at the moment when everything is going wrong.
One important thing about composure, it is not natural. Nobody is born with it. It's a skill, and you build it with preparation. When you know what to say, staying calm becomes 10 times easier.
Which is exactly why you're listening to this episode. So let's give people the words.
Okay, the client calls, they're upset. What is the first thing you should do, Emily?
The first thing is what you should not do. Do not explain. Do not defend yourself. Do not say, yes, but... An angry client does not want your explanation yet.
This is the number one mistake, and honestly, we all make it. The client says, "Your system is down again," and we immediately answer, "Well, actually, the problem is on the server side." Wrong move.
Because the client doesn't feel heard. First, they want to feel heard. Then they want a solution, in that order.
So the first 30 seconds belong to empathy. Let's give some real phrases. Phrase 1. I completely understand your frustration.
Simple, clear, powerful. You are not saying the client is right about everything. You are saying their feelings make sense.
Phrase 2. I'm really sorry you're dealing with this.
Notice the wording. You are sorry they are dealing with this. You can say this even before you know whose fault it is. It's a human response, not a legal confession.
Phrase 3. A bit more formal. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. I can see why this is a serious problem for your team.
That one is perfect for email. And phrase 4, my personal favorite. That would frustrate me too.
Ah, that's a strong one, because you're literally putting yourself in their shoes and saying it out loud.
Exactly. One sentence of real empathy can completely change the temperature of a conversation. I've seen angry clients calm down in seconds just because someone finally said, I understand.
And here's the key point, so let's repeat it. Empathy first, solution second. Say it with me, everyone. Empathy first, solution second.
If you remember only one thing from this episode, remember that.
Now, after empathy, the client usually wants to know what happens next. And this is where our next two terms come in: resolution and escalate.
A resolution is simply a solution to a problem, the moment when the problem is finally fixed and closed. For example, we need to find a resolution before Friday.
And to escalate means to move a problem to a higher level, to someone with more power or more knowledge when you cannot solve it yourself. For example, I will escalate this to our technical director today.
Some people are afraid of the word escalate. They think it sounds like failure, like saying, I can't handle this.
But it's the opposite. When you say, I'm going to escalate this to our CTO, the client hears, this person takes me seriously. They are bringing in the top level for my problem.
The secret is to name a specific person or role, not I'll pass it on to someone. That sounds like you're throwing the problem over a wall. Say who. Our CTO, our head of support, our senior engineer.
Before we move on, let's do the opposite exercise. Emily, what should we not say to an angry client? Because some phrases pour fuel on the fire.
Oh, I have a list. Number 1, the most dangerous phrase in the English language. Calm down.
Never say calm down. In the entire history of angry conversations, calm down has never calmed anyone down. It says, your feelings are wrong and too big. The client will only get angrier.
Number 2, it's not my fault, or that's not my department. Even if it's true, the client doesn't care. They didn't call your department, they called your company.
Instead, own the problem. Let me find out what happened and get back to you today. You're not taking the blame, you're taking the ownership. Remember the difference.
Number 3, you should have, as in, you should have read the contract, or you should have called us earlier. The moment you say you should have, the conversation becomes a fight about the past.
And the past cannot be fixed. Keep the conversation pointed at the future. What happens next? Who does what? By when? Resolution language, not blame language.
And number 4, a quiet one. As I already explained, it sounds small, but the client hears, are you stupid? I told you this already.
A simple fix. Just explain it again, with patience, maybe in different words. Your composure costs you 30 extra seconds. Losing the client costs a lot more.
Perfect. So we know what to say and we know what to avoid. Empathy, composure, resolution, escalate. We have our first 4 terms. Now let's hear them in action. Time for our first conversation. Here's the situation. Daniel is a senior account manager at a software company. Susan is head of operations at their biggest client, a retail chain. The company's platform has failed 3 times in 1 month, and Susan is calling to demand answers. This is a formal, high-pressure call.
As you listen, pay attention to 2 things. First, how Daniel keeps his composure even when Susan threatens to leave. Second, count how many of our key terms you can hear.
Let's listen.
Good morning, Susan. Thank you for calling me directly.
Daniel, I'll be honest with you. This is the 3rd system failure this month. My whole operations team is blocked right now. I am running out of patience.
Susan, I completely understand your frustration. If I put myself in your shoes, with 3 failures in 1 month, I would feel exactly the same. This is not acceptable, and I take full responsibility.
I appreciate the words, Daniel, but I need action. My board wants answers by Thursday.
Understood. Here's what I'm going to do. I will escalate this to our CTO today. This problem is beyond my level, and you deserve attention from the very top.
Good. And I need a full resolution by Thursday. That is not negotiable.
You will have it. I also want to make one change in how we work together. From now on, I will be your single point of contact. You will never be passed from one person to another again.
Fine. And how long do I wait for updates before I call you directly?
24 hours, maximum. If you don't hear from me within 1 business day, call my mobile, anytime.
All right. And Daniel, one more thing. I have to say this honestly. Part of the problem was your support team. They panicked, they lost their composure, and they gave me conflicting information.
That is fair feedback, and I'm sorry. We will fix that immediately.
I want to be clear. If this happens again, we will start looking at other providers.
I hear you. Susan, we have built a strong relationship over 3 years, and I want to protect that. You are one of our most valued partners. This situation does not reflect who we are, and I will prove it. You'll have a written action plan from me within 2 hours.
Then I'll wait for your email. Thank you, Daniel.
Okay, that call was tense. But did you notice, Alex? Daniel never got defensive. Not once. Even when Susan threatened to leave.
And that is the whole skill, honestly. Anyone can be polite when things are going well. The professionals show themselves when the client says, "We will look at other providers."
Let's break it down phrase by phrase. Daniel's very first real sentence was empathy. I completely understand your frustration.
Empathy first, solution second. Exactly like we said. He didn't explain the server problem. He didn't blame the technical team. He started with her feelings.
And then he went one step further. If I put myself in your shoes, I would feel exactly the same. He used our idiom, put yourself in someone's shoes, right there in the conversation.
Which is a beautiful move, because he's showing the client, I'm not on the other side of this problem. I'm standing next to you, looking at it with you.
Then the next big phrase, I take full responsibility.
Now, this one is interesting, and some listeners might be nervous about it. Isn't it dangerous to take responsibility? What if it wasn't really your fault?
Great question. I take full responsibility doesn't mean everything is my personal fault. It means I am the owner of this problem now. I will make sure it gets solved. Clients don't want to know whose fault it is. They want to know who owns the fix.
There's a big difference between guilt and ownership. Daniel is not saying, I broke the system. He's saying, I own the solution.
Next phrase, I will escalate this to our CTO today.
Remember what we said about escalate? Moving the problem to a higher level. And notice how specific he is. Not someone, not the team, the CTO, today.
Specific escalation builds trust. Vague escalation destroys it. I'll see what I can do is one of the weakest sentences in business English. I will escalate this to our CTO today is one of the strongest.
Then Susan says, I need a full resolution by Thursday.
And this phrase, a resolution by, works from both sides of the table. The client uses it to set a deadline. You can use it to make a commitment. You will have a resolution by end of day Friday.
It's solution-focused language. Instead of staying inside the problem, you're already pointing at the fix. The conversation starts moving forward.
Now, my favorite moment of the call. Susan gives some hard feedback. Your support team lost their composure.
Ouch. That's difficult to hear. Your own team panicked, and the client saw it.
But look at Daniel's answer. That is fair feedback, and I'm sorry. 6 words. No excuses, no explanations, no, yes, but they were under a lot of pressure.
And here's the beautiful part. While he's hearing this hard feedback about composure, his own composure stays perfect. He's demonstrating the skill in real time.
That's the level we want you to reach. When criticism comes, breathe and say, "That's fair feedback. Thank you for telling me."
And the last important move. Susan makes a threat. If this happens again, we will look at other providers. How does Daniel answer?
He doesn't panic and he doesn't argue. He says, "We have built a strong relationship over 3 years, and I want to protect that."
And this brings us to our next key term, rapport. Rapport is a relationship of trust and mutual understanding built over time. When you and your client know each other, respect each other, and work well together, that connection is called rapport.
You'll hear phrases like build rapport and protect the rapport. For example, years of good rapport helped them survive this crisis.
And notice what Daniel does with it. He reminds Susan that the relationship has history. 3 years of rapport. That history is worth saving, for both sides.
It changes the frame of the conversation from "you failed us" to "we've been through a lot together. Let's fix this together." That emotional turn is what keeps clients from walking away.
One quick note about register here, because Daniel's language was quite formal. I take full responsibility. You deserve attention from the very top. This is the language of a serious, high-stakes call.
But not every difficult client conversation is a crisis. Sometimes it's a good client who is slowly becoming unhappy. And that needs a different tone, a warmer one. We'll hear that in our second scene.
Before that, though, we need to talk about the hardest part of client work, saying no.
Right, because difficult clients are not always angry clients. Sometimes the difficult client is very friendly. They just keep asking for more. More changes, more calls, more free work.
Ah, yes, just one small thing. Famous last words.
Exactly. It's just a small change. It will take you 5 minutes. And then it's Friday evening and you're still working on that 5-minute change.
This brings us to our next key term, boundary. A boundary is a clear limit that defines what is acceptable and what is not, what is included in the work and what is extra.
In client work, you'll constantly hear the phrase, set boundaries. Setting boundaries means communicating those limits clearly and early. For example, we set clear boundaries at the start of every project.
And here's the thing that surprises many people. Clients actually respect boundaries. A clear no with an explanation is much more professional than a weak yes that you can't deliver.
A weak yes is a lie with a delay. You say yes today, and you disappoint them in 2 weeks. A clear boundary today protects the rapport tomorrow.
So how do we say no in English without sounding rude? Let's give some phrases. Phrase 1. That's outside the scope of this project, but here's what I can do.
Scope is a word you'll hear every day in business. The scope is everything that is included in the agreement, in the project, in the price. Outside the scope means this was not part of our agreement.
And notice the structure of the phrase. First, the boundary. That's outside the scope. Then immediately an alternative. But here's what I can do. You close one door and open another.
That structure is gold. Never leave a client standing in front of a closed door. Phrase 2. I want to make sure we're on the same page about what's included.
And there's our second idiom of the day. To be on the same page. Emily?
To be on the same page means to have the same understanding of a situation, to agree about the facts. Imagine two people reading the same book, looking at the same page. For example, before we start, let's make sure we're on the same page about the deadline.
It's a very soft, very friendly way to open a difficult conversation. You're not saying you're wrong, you're saying, let's check that we understand this the same way.
Phrase 3. I'd love to help with that. Let me send you a quote for the additional work.
Ha! The polite way to say, yes, and it costs money.
But it's honest and it's fair. Free work is not kindness, it's a business mistake. And most clients, when they hear, let me send you a quote, they either pay or they suddenly realize the request wasn't that important.
And phrase 4 for protecting your time, I'm not available this weekend, but I can have it ready for you first thing Monday morning.
Again, the same structure, a clear boundary. I'm not available this weekend, followed by a positive alternative. First thing Monday morning. No apology, no long explanation, no guilt.
Let's repeat the pattern one more time, because this is the heart of setting boundaries in English. Boundary first, alternative second. That's not possible, but here's what is possible.
Boundary first, alternative second. Just like empathy first, solution second. Two little formulas that will carry you through 90% of difficult conversations.
Okay, time for our second scene. Different situation, different energy, same skills. Here's the setup. Chris is a project manager at a marketing agency. Laura is a client, the owner of a growing online store. They have a good relationship, they like each other, but Laura keeps adding new requests to the project, and the team is starting to drown. Chris has scheduled a video call.
This time, listen for the boundaries, and notice how warm the tone stays, even while Chris is saying no. Let's listen. Chris, good to see you. Listen, before you start, I had another idea this weekend. What if we also add a blog section to the site? Just something simple.
Good to see you too, Laura. And I love the energy. Honestly, your ideas are always interesting. Before we talk about the blog, can we take 5 minutes to look at the project together? I want to make sure we're on the same page.
Oh, okay, sure. Is something wrong?
Nothing is wrong, and I want to keep it that way. Here's the situation. In the last 3 weeks, we've added 6 new requests to the project. Each one is small, but together they've grown the project by about 30%.
I didn't realize it was that much. They all felt like small things.
I completely understand, and that's very normal. It even has a name in our industry. But here's my concern. If we keep adding, we will miss your launch date. And I know that date matters to you.
It really does. I've already announced it to my customers.
Exactly. So here's what I suggest. We lock the current scope today, and we deliver your launch on time. Everything new, like the blog, goes on a separate list. And in 2 weeks, I'll send you a quote for that list as a phase 2.
So the blog is not dead. It's just later.
It's later, and it's done properly, with its own budget and timeline. That's better than squeezing it in now and doing a rushed job.
Okay, that's fair. I have to say, I was a little afraid you'd just keep saying yes and then miss the deadline.
Never. You trusted us with your launch, and we're going to protect it. And Laura, thank you for being so open to this conversation. Honestly, not every client makes it this easy.
Well, you explained it well. Okay, lock the scope. Let's launch this thing. Same skills, completely different energy. Did you feel the difference, everyone? Scene 1 was a crisis. Scene 2 was a friendly conversation. But underneath, Chris was doing exactly the same things as Daniel.
Let's walk through it. First, notice how Chris opened the difficult topic. Can we take 5 minutes to look at the project together? I want to make sure we're on the same page.
Our idiom again, on the same page. And look how gentle it is. He didn't say, Laura, we have a problem, or Laura, you're asking for too much. He invited her to look at the situation together.
Together is the key word. He put the project on the table between them so they could both look at it. It's not Chris versus Laura. It's Chris and Laura versus the problem.
Then he used facts, not feelings. 6 new requests. The project grew by 30%.
This is so important when you set boundaries. Numbers are neutral. Feelings can be argued with. If you say, you're asking for too much, the client can get offended. If you say, the project has grown by 30%, there is nothing to argue about. It's just true.
And did you notice the empathy in the middle? Laura said, they all felt like small things. And Chris answered, I completely understand, and that's very normal.
Empathy first, even here. He made her feel normal, not guilty. Nobody wants to feel like the annoying client.
Then came the boundary, and I want everyone to hear the structure again. Chris said, we lock the current scope today, that's the boundary, and everything new goes on a separate list as phase 2. That's the alternative.
Boundary first, alternative second. He closed one door and immediately opened another. The blog isn't rejected, it's moved. Laura even said it herself. So the blog is not dead, it's just later.
And notice what Chris protected with that boundary. Not his own comfort, the client's launch date. He framed the boundary as something he was doing for her. You trusted us with your launch, and we're going to protect it.
That's the mindset shift right there. A good boundary is not against the client, it's for the client. When you say no to the 6th small request, you're saying yes to the deadline, yes to the quality, yes to the rapport.
There it is again, rapport. And you could hear it in this conversation. Because Chris and Laura had good rapport built over the whole project, this conversation was easy. She trusted him enough to accept the boundary.
That's why we say, build rapport early, protect it always. The best time to prepare for a difficult conversation is months before it happens, in all the normal, friendly conversations.
One more small thing from the scene. At the end, Chris said, thank you for being so open to this conversation.
Yes, thanking the client for their behavior in the conversation itself. Remember in scene 1, Susan mentioned composure? Here, Chris is doing something similar. He's noticing and appreciating how the client is acting. People rise to the level you thank them for.
And one last phrase from Chris that I want to highlight. I'll send you a quote for that list as a phase 2. He turned the extra work into a business opportunity. Free extras became phase 2 with a budget.
Which is the difference between a stressed freelancer and a professional. Same requests, different response. One person drowns in free work. The other one grows the contract.
And that, by the way, is our 3rd idiom of the day. Chris didn't do it in the scene, but many professionals talk about it. To go the extra mile.
To go the extra mile means to do more than expected, to give extra effort or extra service. For example, our support team always goes the extra mile for our clients.
And here's the important nuance for difficult clients. Going the extra mile is wonderful when it's your choice. When you decide to add a small bonus, a faster answer, a little extra care, that builds rapport.
But going the extra mile is a gift, not an obligation. If a client demands the extra mile every day for free, that's not rapport anymore. That's a missing boundary.
Beautifully said. Give the extra mile freely, but know where your boundaries are. Both things can be true at the same time.
Okay, the difficult conversation is over. You survived. You showed empathy, you kept your composure, you set your boundaries. Is the work done?
Not yet. There's one more step, and it's the one most people skip, the follow-up. And that's our last key term of the day.
A follow-up is a message or action that comes after a conversation to confirm what was agreed, and to continue the process. As a verb, we say to follow up. For example, I'll follow up with an email this afternoon.
After every difficult conversation, send a short follow-up email the same day. 3 parts. Thank them for the conversation, confirm what was agreed, and confirm the next step with a date.
Something like, Hi Susan, thank you for your call today and for your honest feedback. As agreed, I have escalated the issue to our CTO and you will have a full resolution by Thursday. I will personally update you every 24 hours.
Look at that email. Empathy, escalate, resolution, all are vocabulary in 3 sentences. And now everything is in writing, so both sides are on the same page.
The follow-up does 2 jobs. It protects you because the agreement is documented, and it calms the client because they see that the conversation turned into action.
Remember Daniel in scene 1? You'll have a written action plan within 2 hours. That promise of a fast follow-up was probably the moment Susan started to relax.
Words calm people down. Written words keep them calm.
All right, let's put it all together. Today, you learned 7 key terms. Let's run through them one more time quickly.
Empathy. Understanding and sharing another person's feelings. Show it first, before any solution. I completely understand your frustration.
Composure. The ability to stay calm under pressure. Your composure is visible, and clients trust people who have it.
To escalate. To move a problem to a higher level when you can't solve it yourself. Escalate with confidence and name a specific person. I will escalate this to our CTO today.
Resolution. The solution that closes a problem. Commit to a resolution with a clear deadline. You will have a resolution by Friday.
Boundary. A clear limit on what is acceptable or included. Set boundaries early, with facts and a friendly tone. Boundary first, alternative second.
Rapport. The trust and connection you build with a client over time. Build it early, protect it always. It's your best asset on the worst day.
And follow-up. The message after the conversation that confirms everything in writing. Same day, 3 parts. Thank you, agreement, next step.
Plus 3 idioms. To put yourself in someone's shoes. To imagine being in another person's situation. To be on the same page. To have the same understanding. And to go the extra mile. To do more than expected.
And the 2 little formulas that hold this whole episode together. Formula 1. Empathy first, solution second.
Formula 2. Boundary first, alternative second.
If you remember those 2 lines, you will handle 90% of difficult client conversations better than most native speakers do.
That's it for today's episode. Difficult clients will never disappear, but with the right words, you will never again freeze on a call, and you'll never be caught without something to say.
If this episode was helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us make more episodes like this one on HR, finance, marketing, sales, operations, and workplace English.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Alex. Keep learning, keep growing, and we'll see you in the next episode.